On September 30th, 1938, the Munich Agreement was reached by Nazi Germany, the United Kingdom, France, and Fascist Italy. The agreement allowed Nazi Germany to annex the Sudetenland, a region of Czechoslovakia, home to about 3 million people, mostly ethnic Germans. In some places, the pact is called the Munich Betrayal, since it disregarded a 1924 alliance and a 1925 military pact between France and Czechoslovakia. Nazi Germany had already begun a low-level undeclared war against Czechoslovakia on September 17, 1938. In response, Britain and France urged Czechoslovakia on September 20th to hand over the Sudetenland. Soon after, Poland and Hungary made their own territorial demands. German troops advanced into parts of the 𝕲𝖊 and 𝕲𝖊𝖔𝖕𝖔𝖑 districts using artillery and facing resistance from Czechoslovak tanks and armored units. Lightly armed German infantry briefly captured some border areas before being pushed back. Meanwhile, Poland massed troops on its border and attempted an unsuccessful incursion on September 23rd, while Hungary moved soldiers to its border without launching an attack. The Soviet Union offered military support to Czechoslovakia but was blocked from intervening by Poland and Romania, who refused passage for the Red Army. An emergency conference was held in Munich on September 29th to 30th, involving Nazi Germany, Great Britain, France, and Fascist Italy, but excluding both Czechoslovakia and its ally, the Soviet Union. The Western powers quickly accepted Hitler's demands. The Sudetenland, with its mountain fortifications, was crucial to Czechoslovakia's defense, yet on September 30th, under combined military and diplomatic pressure, it agreed to surrender the territory. The Munich Agreement was followed by the First Vienna Award on November 2nd, which transferred parts of southern Slovakia and Subcarpathian Russes to Hungary. Later that month, Czechoslovakia also ceded small areas to Poland. In March 1939, Slovakia declared independence as a German puppet state, and Hitler broke his pledge by occupying the rest of the country, creating the Protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia. This gave Germany control of Czechoslovakia's armaments, tanks, and a large military force. At the time, many Europeans welcomed the Munich Agreement, believing it had prevented war. Hitler even declared it his last territorial demand in Northern Europe. Today, however, the agreement is widely seen as a failed act of appeasement, and the term Munich has become synonymous with the futility of yielding to aggressive totalitarian powers. On September 30th, 1950, South Korean forces crossed the 38th parallel on the eastern side of the Korean peninsula, triggering a broader United Nations advance into North Korea. By late October, United Nations troops were nearing the Yalu River, which led to China's entering the conflict. Although Chinese forces launched initial attacks in late October and early November, the United Nations countered with another offensive on November 24th. However, this advance was quickly stopped when China launched its massive second phase offensive the following day. And 70 years ago, on September 30th, 1955, James Dean, one of the most influential figures in Hollywood in the 1950s, was killed at the age of 24 in an auto accident near Chalane, California. He was on his way to a sports car competition when he was killed in a crash at the intersection of United States Route 466 and SR 41. Only one of Dean's movies, East of Eden, had been released at the time of his death. Rebel Without a Cause and Giant opened shortly afterward. But he was already on his way to superstardom, and the crash made him a legend. The driver of the other car, 23-year-old California Polytechnic State University student Donald Turnipseed, was dazed but mostly uninjured. Dean's passenger, German Porsche mechanic Rolf Wojterich, was badly injured but survived. James Dean loved racing cars, and in fact, he and his brand new $7,000 Porsche Spyder convertible were on their way to a race in Salinas, 90 miles south of San Francisco. Witnesses maintain that Dean hadn't been speeding at the time of the accident. In fact, Turnipseed had made a left turn right into the spider's path, but some people point out that he must have been driving awfully fast. He'd gotten a speeding ticket in Bakersfield, 84 miles from the crash site at 3:30 p.m., and then had stopped at a diner for a Coke, which meant that he covered quite a distance in a relatively short period of time. Still, the gathering twilight and the glare from the setting sun would have made it impossible for Turnipseed to see the Porsche coming no matter how fast it was going. Rumor has it that Dean's car, which he nicknamed the Little Bastard, was cursed. After the accident, the car rolled off the back of the truck and crashed the legs of a mechanic standing nearby. Later, after a used car dealer sold its parts to buyers all over the country, the strange incidents multiplied. The car's engine, transmission, and tires were all transplanted into cars that were subsequently involved in deadly crashes. And a truck carrying the spider's chassis to a highway safety exhibition skidded off the road, killing its driver. The remains of the car vanished from the scene of that accident and hadn't been seen since. Rolf Wojterich, whose feelings of guilt after the car accident never abated, tried to commit suicide twice during the 1960s, and in 1967 he stabbed his wife 14 times with a kitchen knife in a failed murder-suicide. He died in a drunk-driving accident in 1981, and Turnipseed died of lung cancer in 1995. Well, that's all I have for today. Leave a comment down below and subscribe and tell me what you think of the events for today. My voice, I told you on the YouTube post, is still disabled, but I can still talk well. It just takes time. Also, I need to drink a couple of water to slow it down. Well, I hope you like it. This is Stephen Luke, and this is my first history video presentation since September 11th. And I'll see you next time.